Hi, this is the maverick artist Victor Hugo reporting modern art gonzo journalism for the modern art music movement. It is June 3rd, 2024, reporting from the former Soviet Union, Republic of Georgia, near the border with Russia, Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. My job is not to be politically correct. It is to witness, observe, analyze, and document the beautiful chaos that surrounds us all, so that future generations can understand how we got to this moment in time. And today I am blessed to be joined by Flat Earth Dave. Some of you may know him as Dave Weiss. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Should be a fun
I,
conversation.
yeah, I noticed you're an Acapulco shirt before the show. We were talking about uh, Jeff Berwick and
Yep.
also about Max Egan and our interactions with both. And you
Yeah,
gave a lecture or some kind of symposium over at the last in Acapulco, correct?
I went. This was the first time we've been talking with Jeff, on and off for a couple of years. And he's like, people aren't ready for flat Earth yet. And so last year they decided to have me on, and I figured, I'm going to have, the majority of the audience is going to be like flat Earth. This is ridiculous. When I went up, besides having the largest packed audience of all 50 speakers, I said, raise your hand if you think the Earth is a globe, and three people raised their hands.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Now there was a couple triggered globers in the back that didn't raise their hands and stuff, and these are just people that are refusing to look at the information. But out of the 50 speakers, all but maybe two or three were flat earthers. Right? It's amazing. Like when I talk about the medical health freedom movement, I don't want to say all of them are in it because some people are still in the closet. So I'm going to say all but one of the medical truth freedom people are flat earthers. That way I don't shoot the people that are still in the closet.
Do you think this has something to do with the apocalypse that we're going through right now? A lot of people misunderstand. The apocalypse is actually an awakening. It's the lifting of the veil. Do you think that's why so many more people are willing to believe that the earth is flat?
There's a lot of factors. There's this change in energy, I think, that's happened. It's the thinning of the veil, the apocalypse. It's COVID, has made it so people were at home and with a lot of time on their hands to research, and it's getting out there. I was just on Alex Jones. I did Roseanne Barr. I've been on tons of podcasts. And now it's getting harder and harder to find podcasts that are not flat earthers. If you noticed in my intake booking form, it says, do you think the earth is flat, a globe, or something else? And I believe you put flat and stationary. But it's harder and harder to find people that think it's a globe. It's really getting difficult. And those are a different podcast than we're going to be having today. We're going to be talking about a lot of the same stuff, and we may disagree on some stuff. We'll see. But it's that time. This is the awakening. The genie's out of the bottle, and there's no way to put it back in. The amount of flat earthers out there is absolutely insane. You can't even fathom it right now, and it's growing rapidly every day.
Now, we seem to be speaking in an echo chamber. I noticed that we were communicating with Jeff Berwick, with Max Egan, and before the show, I was telling you I'm going to be doing an interview with Jim Fetzer later after this. And you were mentioning that Jim Fetzer, you'd actually done work with him about Sandy Hook and the Boston bombing, but somehow flat Earth was just a bridge too far. Why do you suppose that is, talking about the people who just aren't willing to accept flat Earth as a concept right now?
So Jeff Berwick, he knows the Earth isn't a globe. Jeff's in the total simulation world of flat, and that's interesting. We can talk about that all day. And so they had me at Acapulco, and it was just everybody was blown away by the presentation. But most people there were already on the flat side. Jim, on the other hand, the man has written so many amazing books. By the way, his books, Moonrock Publishing, go collect all of his books because they'll do one of two things. In the future, they'll get you put in jail for owning them, or two, they'll be worth millions of dollars. Okay?
Yeah, all of his stuff gets banned and censored.
All of his stuff is banned and censored. I have all of his books, and some of them are shrink wrapped because I'm saving them because they are books, but books for posterity. Jim is so emotionally attached to the globe for some reason. It's amazing. We did I pulled up on my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. I just searched Fetzer, and if we look at it's his first one right here. He and myself and Austin Whitsitt had a conversation, and he got so triggered. Like, we would explain things to him, and he would just ignore them because he was only thinking about what he wanted to present. Love the guy. He's just missing out on Flat Earth. It's okay. You know, the guy is he has done more truth for truth than probably 10 people below him combined.
Now, what's interesting, that's a good segue. I want to share the screen here with you because recently you appeared on Alex Jones, who, like you say about Jim Fetzer, has done so much to awaken people. I don't know if it's the generation, because I am 54 years old. I'm just 4 years older than Alex Jones, and I think I'm a little bit younger than Jim Fetzer. But boy, the way that Alex Jones reacted to you, and again, I don't know if you can see the screen here that I'm sharing.
I can see your full screen. It's beautiful.
I was really surprised to hear the way Alex Jones reacted to you. I haven't seen that reaction from him since he had Stu Peters on his show. He did even mention Kanye West during your interview with him, and also with Brother Nathaniel. I want to play some segments from here, and since this is fresh, we're recording this on Monday. The show, I think, aired on Thursday or Friday, and it's fresh in your mind. I want to get your take on some of these moments here.
Let me tell you something. It was the best day and the worst day to be at InfoWars. The best day because all of the Trump nonsense that was going on had a huge lead-in. We did the third hour in his show, and it turned out to be one of the highest, if not the highest, live viewed show hour that he's ever done in all of the InfoWars history. So
yeah,
it was it was amazing. But let me just say something. Alex Jones is Alex Jones. He does what he does. He's running a business, which is on the top of his priorities. And he knows some things that he doesn't say on the air. And Flat Earth isn't one of the things that he wants to, hold on to and run with. Now, in my opinion, gun to his head, Alex, is the Earth or globe or flat? He's going to say flat, but he's not going to claim that on the air. Now, that's just me. I could be wrong. But Alex had me and Eddie Bravo on, exposed the topic to his vast audience, and did a great thing for Flat Earth. So God bless Alex Jones.
Yeah, God bless Alex Jones. But why do you suppose people have that trepidation in having people like you on their show?
I'll tell you why.
Exactly. It discredits them.
So I did a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, where we were looking into all of the big deceptions, all the false flags. And when I heard about Flat Earth, besides refusing to look at it, when I finally looked at it, Sophia Smallstar made me look, and then I really tried to debunk it. And when I couldn't, I was like, oh my God, Earth is flat. And I didn't talk about it for months. I didn't want to bring it up on the podcast because I was afraid of one, losing my subs, because they would, oh my God, these guys are crazy, and going. Alex not only has his subs and his followers that would call, that might freak out. He also has the sponsors, right? He could lose sponsors, and Alex Jones needs his sponsors to run his massive organization. It costs millions and millions and millions of dollars to do what he does. And if he loses sponsors over a topic that he may not see the importance of, what difference does it make? Earth is shaping the earth. I still have to go to work on Monday. Today's Monday and I'm not at work, but I used to say the same thing. Okay. So he gets it. I think he gets it. And the fact that he had us on was great, and he might even have us back. Who knows?
So that was your first time on the show with Alex Jones?
No, the first time in studio. I was on years ago with him. If you go on my app and just search with the search feature, just search in Alex Jones or InfoWars, you'll see it. I came on. I was on via Zoom, and he pretty much acted the same way. And he does a lot of straw mans, a lot of interrupting. But between Eddie and I on both sides of him, we were able to get out some decent content to spark people's interest. And my whole goal on that show was not to convince Alex Jones to say, all right, Flat Earth is important, was to give people a place to go and look for Flat Earth. You Google Flat Earth, you're gonna get propaganda. It's like hey, are vaccines effective? Whatever. You're going to get propaganda. Excuse me. So my goal was to direct people to my website, flatearthdave.com, and go there. And I tell people, don't believe anything I say. Do not believe anything I say. Belief is the lazy man's knowing. Crow 777, I stole that from. His belief is the enemy of knowing. And it's it's the lazy man's knowing because, hey, I live in Connecticut. You said you live in Russia. I believe you. I don't know it. You could be in friggin' Ohio for all I know, right? But I believe it.
I'm in the Republic of Georgia. I'm right near the border with Russia. What's interesting is
I have no proof of that. I have no proof of that. My point is, I can believe it. I look at you, I judge you. I'm a trusting person. I can feel your energy. I'm like, he's not lying about that, but I don't know it. Now, you people believe they live on a globe, but they have no idea why they believe it. And if they really looked into why they believe it, they'd find out that they don't believe it, and it's nonsense. They don't know it because it's not true.
So let me play this segment, and I want to get your reaction to this.
By the way, all I said this morning is you're coming in.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I was going to ask you, did you go to Anarchapulco last year?
No, I did not. I am a dissident like Max Egan.
That's
Only
right.
I am staying here because, like I said before the show, the things that I've been saying on my podcast, I don't have any sponsors. My sponsors are my listeners. Okay. So I'm able to speak truth to power in a way that most people can't. And I touch on subjects that nobody else dares to touch on. So that's why I have no problem having you on, because really, for me, in this apocalypse, I want to learn as much as I can, because I know that everything I've pretty much learned and have been taught in school and on telly and in Hollywood, it's all a lie. So for me, I feel like a kindergartner now, where everything that I'm learning now, I'm like, wow, this is starting to make sense now. Even the whole flat earth thing, I wasn't a flat earther before. And like you said, I don't know. I mean, flat earth makes more sense to me than the globe, because of a lot of things that you said on Alex Jones's show. And even before that, I've seen you on SGT Report. But I mean, just understanding how much they're lying to us, from Sandy Hook to the Boston bombing, and then seeing now how I'm being vilified because of the truth that I dare to speak to power. I'm like, you know what? That means I'm hovering over the target. And for my own safety, I got death threats and everything. I'm choosing to stay put. So
for people that are on those two topics you just mentioned, Sandy and Boston, stoplookthink.com. All of the great information is there. All the stuff that's been removed from YouTube. Stoplookthink.com on Sandy, 9/11, Boston, and every other event, we'll say, every other F event that you can think of. Stoplookthink.com. So check that out for people looking for the research that they cannot find.
Yeah. And it's interesting that the universe is bringing us all together at this moment in time. That's why I say this is a great awakening. And times are going to get tough, but I think the future is going to be much better. And we're going to get into the hidden history as well, and how they've erased history from us. So, and that's why I wanted to use these segments, because you got into a lot of stuff that I want to follow up on with you. So here we go.
Can you at least talk a little bit about Trump, the politics, the world, and then we can talk about, the Easter Bunny stuff. Okay.
I mean, you see how people automatically start with the jokes, and they are condescending and, quite frankly, rude and like just dismissive of the whole flat earth thing, the Easter Bunny thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that make you feel when you go on these shows and you've got a titan like Alex Jones smirking that you're going to be talking about the Easter Bunny?
You know what? I called him out. I told him when he strawmans, and I pointed out lots of things. The thing is, I expected that from him. It's okay. It is what it is. It's Alex Jones. He had me on, and I got the information out there. And you know what? Secretly, he knows. I think he knows. Right? I could be wrong.
I think he knows too.
I'm pretty sure he knows, and he just doesn't want to take on that battle. But here's the other thing. Some people, like the people come at me like, Dave, you're a shill because you don't address the Jesuits or the Jews or anything. Guess what? I don't know a lot about them. There's other people that do much better work than I could. everybody does their own thing. Alex Jones does his role. I'll say role because we're all actors. We're all acting a part, right? It's whether how sincere you are about it, right? I'm 100% sincere in everything I say. Alex Jones serves his role. Alex Jones was one of the people that woke me up. He was like one of the first conspiracy shows that I watched, that I started watching, and he woke me up. I've outgrown a lot of his antics, but he still serves a purpose. So there you go.
By the way, to your credit, because you mentioned the Jesuits and the Jews, and that's a rabbit hole that I've started going down and deep diving into because I was living in China. And when I lived in China, I still have a 10-year visa to go there and work with the masters, sculptors and artists and stuff, and make films and all sorts of, like a cultural ambassador between the United States and China. I had to leave because of the Wuhan virus, and I escaped 2 hours before the last border closed on the day that the Wuhan virus whistleblower, Dr. Li Wenliang, died. But while I was there, boy, the Chinese were filling me in on everything that's happening right now. That's why I realized this whole thing is scripted. I knew that the pandemic was just that. It was planned. I knew that it was created to impact the election and to create the coup. The Chinese told me that the 9/11 was an inside job. They have that information. Now I'm surrounded by Russians. The Russians are also holding back that information. They're totally blackmailing everybody inside of the U.S. Senate and Congress and the military and everything. So when I was there, I was learning all this stuff because in order for me to show anything as an artist there, I was holding forums on free speech, which are unheard of in China. But the reason I was able to do it was because I was talking about the censorship that I was experiencing as an American artist. So, of course, they wanted to put me in front of millions of people to show that, yeah, the United States claims that it's got free speech, but it doesn't. Of course, I couldn't say anything about Xi Jinping, about Taiwan, about, they said, don't mention Tiananmen Square and don't mention Tibet, the 3 T's. So I was like, okay, I knew which lane to be on. I wasn't there to talk about China because really I don't know enough about China. Boy, they told me about the Mao Revolution and how that whole thing started. And now I'm here surrounded by Russians and they're telling me about the Bolshevik Revolution. So on my shows, I've been focusing on the Bolshevik Revolution, the Mao Revolution, and how that's all connected, like you said, with the Jesuits and the Jews and all that stuff. So when you were invited on the show, it was funny because Dustin Emos put us together and he goes, oh man, has he seen your website? I said, I gave you the information. I'm not hiding anything. And to your credit, I don't know how deep down my website you've gone, but yeah, I'm not afraid to go down the Bolshevik and the Mao and the Jewish and Jesuit, and yet you're still here because, like you said, it's the person. I have to trust you, and you have to trust me. And so I see that you're willing to go down rabbit holes that most people aren't willing to do in this day and age when it's dangerous. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you're a brave man for coming on my show.
All right. Hey,
all right.
Let's do me a favor though, because I will want to put this on YouTube. Let's just speak in terms that don't violate YouTube. We can speak in a little bit of code when necessary, right? So we don't violate YouTube's policies.
All right. So we'll do that. Yeah, because it's interesting. We're having to self-censor now, which I find is something dangerous. My channel on BitChute and Rumble are both censored, believe it or not, even though they're supposed to be free speech platforms. People have complained that they're being unsubscribed, that they can't view the videos, that they have to actually download them. So we are totally in an information war. And as you know, InfoWars is being shut down now. So yeah,
they're being threatened to. Did they get shut down? I didn't follow.
He's got a hearing today, as you and I are speaking right now. He's going to court to see if it'll be shut down. But it looks like it's pretty much going to be shut down within the month. He says he's already got his U-Haul truck there and he's moving stuff out.
Wow.
This looks like it's it. So you almost held the notoriety of being one of his last guests on his show.
that would have been good for Flat Earth, bad for Alex.
Yeah. So let's get back to this.
Being mean. No, Eddie wants to tell you the big secret: the world's flat. And he's got
Flat Earth Dave.
He's got Flat Earth Dave, folks, one of the biggest flat earthers here with us. Dave Weiss, flatearthdave.com. So fine, just tell the big secret. It's all flat. They really beat him.
Well, the thing is, when you look for flat Earth, it's like looking for truth. You're not going to find it on Google. You're not going to find anything.
I think challenging the system's good, but just humor me. Give me your take on Trump, your take on Russia before we go into the worst flat.
I don't really follow a lot of that. I listened to what you said.
It's got to be easy, though. It's just, we talk about flat Earth all day, nothing else.
I think that the entire system's rigged. It's all fake, and it's a complete and total mess. And
I think when you're being lied to, that's a reasonable response.
We are being lied to, for sure. We're being lied to about everything. And NASA, is what tells us that the Earth is a globe. You're showing CGI pictures. The globalists lie about the globe.
Now, it's interesting. Where and when was that moment where you realized that you were being lied to and that you started going down this trail that you are on now as a truth teller?
As far as flat Earth goes?
Yeah.
I realized, so I knew that the world was screwed up from a pretty young age, and I was looking into money is what got me. I think it was Money Masters I saw, and I was like, what is money? What is the Federal Reserve? Then if you find out the truth about all of that. And, my buddy Tim and I, we worked at a solar power company, and in the lunchroom each day, we'd be talking about this stuff, and people would gather around more and more. Literally, we'd go into the lunchroom, and there'd be 20 people waiting for us to come in there. And, Tim and Dave are going to be talking about their conspiracies. Everybody was just kind of fascinated. And then one day, Tim told me, he goes, hey, we can do a podcast in New York City. They got this big opening. And I didn't even know what a podcast was. I'm like, what's a podcast? It's like, it's a recorded radio show. So we did it, called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Long story short, the first one was titled 9/11 is Dave's Baby. And literally, we took down the house. Like, all the management was sticking their head in the studio, like, what the hell just happened? And so we went down all of these things, and then people started sending me flat Earth stuff, and I ignored it. I was like, oh, that's stupid. That's funny. Yeah. I didn't even get that. I thought that's just a joke. And then it just kept coming, and more posts, banned for life, banned for life. I invented the term banned for life, I think. Because I don't have time to watch a 1-minute video on something that's stupid. I'm open to everything, but flat Earth, come on, ridiculous. And then I was talking with Sophia Smallstorm about some fake airplane crash event and some other fake shooting event. And I said to her, I said, Sophia, I said, there's so much deception in this world. It's overwhelming. And she goes, oh, David, it's worse than that. I'm like, what? She goes, I think the Earth might be flat. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Not you too. And she sent me a couple of videos, and, like, where do you get your information from? YouTube videos? No, YouTube is a place that serves you content. Good, bad, real, fake, stupid. And so you have to sort it out. And so I started watching them, and I'm with a bad attitude. And after video after video after video, and back then in 2014, YouTube would serve you good suggestions, like on Flat Earth, and they helped spread the information. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna the boats over the horizon. That's proof of the Earth. That's a proof of the globe. And I went out. I bought a P900 at that time, the super zoom camera that had just come out. I got a tripod, went down to the beach. I hit on a perfect day, super crisp, clear, super calm, early morning. And I zoomed in on a buoy that's over 10 miles away from a foot, maybe a foot and a half off the surface of the water. And if you know globe math, the curvature should be 66 feet. It should be behind 66 feet of curvature. So immediately I said, the curvature formula is wrong. 10 miles can't have 66 feet of curvature. I looked it up. It's true. And then I went to the debunking sites. I'm like, what do they say about this? And they're like, well, you don't see like that. You're halfway over the curve, and the thing is the other halfway. So it's a hump. It's not a curve. And that means there's only 33 feet of curvature. Well, I don't know. I don't think this buoy is 33 feet high. And not only can I see the buoy, I can see the water beyond the buoy. Okay. So then I said, okay, Earth can't be flat. It's just bigger than they're telling us. It's just bigger. And I started going down that rabbit hole. And then we have observations that would make the Earth 1,000,000 times bigger than they tell us it is. If the Earth is 1,000,000 times bigger, that means there's 7 or 8 million continents that they're not telling us about. Okay. So that's when it happened. That's when it broke my reality. And here's the thing. The biggest thing that Globers say is, you flat earthers, you'll never change your mind. No, we were all Globers. We were you. We changed our mind based on new information. We have the ability to change our minds based on new information. right? And so I was like, I had no choice. And then I was like, well, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. And then when you realize that this is the foundation of all the lies, this is how they get away with everything that's going on in this world that's screwed up is because you're spinning out of control, lost in space, insignificant, with limited resources, limited power, and that's the opposite of the truth. We have unlimited power, unlimited resources, unlimited potential, but they've put us in that globe prison, and it's a prison for your mind.
Now, you at the end of that segment mentioned the globalists. And as you're speaking now, you're saying they. And this is a conversation I've had with Sean from SGT Report, where you have also been on, and others concerned with Alex Jones. He talks about globalists. He says they. Who are these globalists? Who are the they? And why are we not allowed to talk about them? I'm assuming you understand that when I go down that rabbit hole and I follow the money, I end up with the central bankers, because there's somebody who's financing the censorship, somebody who's financing the textbooks that have been changed. And the ancient textbooks show that the earth was flat, and then somehow they changed it and turned it into a globe. So, and these people who are wanting to have us in this control system, it always ends up going back to the same people, in my opinion. Again, I may be wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you self-identify as the people of that, what they call tribe, that begins with the J and ends with the W.
I was born in that tribe, but a non-practicing family. It's like the people that accuse me of being guilty of something because of that, they know more about it than I do. I know nothing about the Jewish religion. I hate to admit it. I know that Rosh Hashanah is the new year. I couldn't tell you when it was. I don't know what I think it's around Easter. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't care. Like all of that tradition, I don't care. I respect people that honor it, and that's their thing. Awesome. But I don't know anything about that. And to say, all J's are bad, or all B's are bad, or all, you can never say all. There's no all. There's no all. All people have the ability to make their own decisions. There's groups of bad people. There's groups of shitty people. There's groups of great people. And in every group, there's all different types of people. So I don't group people. I base people like, I don't know you. I barely looked at your website, but you seem like a really good guy. You seem like you're a truthful guy. I can look at the micro expressions on your face, right? But they don't want us that. They want masks on us. They want Botox in us, so people can't even read. Kids are freaking doing Botox today. It's like all those micro expressions talk more than your words, right? Your energy is more than your words. Our words are literally a weapon. And people need to be careful with the words that they use. But I think I'm going off target here, but I don't buy into any of that.
But these people, they don't seem to be human. And the reason I'm saying that is because they are so caught up in doing things that are inhuman. They have no compassion. The fact that, like you were saying, these people are trying to brainwash us into believing this nonsense. Like you said, the speed with which we're just swirling around this, like it doesn't make any sense. But they're putting so much effort into it. And of course, if you're able to print money out of nothing, which is what the Federal Reserve does, then of course you can buy off these people to be your shills, to spread these lies, and then to condemn you and even kill you if need be, if you're running around exposing the truth. And that's where we are right now at this moment in time, is the truth is being revealed, and people like you, myself, Alex Jones, and SGT, we're all under attack because we're daring to just question, man. I'm not saying it's all the J's, but you know what? Like when I follow the money, I notice that like the Rothschilds are involved, the Rockefellers are involved.
Absolutely.
And these people, it's the same people, man.
So
it's like,
when you ask me who are they, and I didn't answer the question. So the question is, yes, the bankers run the government, but who runs the bankers? Who runs,
Exactly.
who runs these
Yes.
people? It's interesting that all these heads of state, presidents and all from all around the world, they all go to Antarctica at the weirdest times. And if you track them, they go to the South Pole Station and then they disappear for 2 or 3 days. Then they show back up at South Pole Station. Where did they go? Where did they go?
Yeah.
My opinion, they went out south. And out south, there's cities, there's people, there's the controllers of this world don't live within where we live. Okay, that's my opinion. I can't prove it. Again, to prove flat Earth, that's easy. We don't have to go beyond where we can reach or travel. But these those are the real controllers of this world. And who are they? I don't think we know their names. I don't think
I want to share
ever see them.
a screen with you just while we're talking, so that people who are not familiar with Antarctica, yeah, it seems like there are definitely places within Antarctica that have been inhabited and still inhabited, and apparently there's millions of people living in Antarctica. And what was interesting is when I was living in China, I was offered the opportunity to hold tours in Antarctica for the Chinese. What they were going to do is they were going to hire me to give presentations on the flights and then on the cruise ships that were going to Antarctica. And I was going to be able to see all this stuff. So
yeah, there's old maps that show Antarctica without ice on it. Admiral Byrd, with his Project High Jump, said that there's warmer lands bigger than the United States that no human has ever seen. If you look at the real way this world is, you'll see that Antarctica is not the end, the bottom of an island on the bottom of a globe. It's the beginning of the outside world.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to forget that before Columbus, the European world thought that America didn't exist. Meanwhile, there were already people living in the North American and South American continents. So just because we haven't been to Antarctica, because they're not letting us go there, because there are treaties that do not allow us to go there or fly over there, that doesn't mean that there's not stuff over there. Do you think I've heard that they're either aliens, that the tribe that begins with I'm saying this because we don't want to get censored on YouTube. So the tribe that begins with the J and ends with the W, they have been forced by these Elohim, these aliens, to traffic in humans, because apparently these aliens feed off of the loosh, which is the energy that they get from the torturing of these children, from the fear, like in that movie Monsters, Inc. And remember, Disney is involved in a lot of this stuff too, and there's a lot of predictive programming in Hollywood, and that they are, that's why they kind of have Stockholm syndrome, because this tribe has been working for these Elohim, and that's why when they say that they're God's chosen people, but their God are these aliens. And did you hear about Oumuamua? Are you familiar with that?
Remind me.
That's that outer space vehicle that passed by this galaxy recently, and it freaked people out, and that's how they had to increase from Agenda 21 to Agenda 2030, and now they're doing Agenda 2025, because it's the return of the Mashiach. And the Mashiach is supposedly in that they said it was not a man-made structure. It's Oumuamua, Oumuamua. Cliff High spoke about it.
Yeah, well, Cliff High's another guy that doesn't get the flat Earth. And here's the thing, and I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. He does a lot of good work. The problem is, if you base your work on a paradigm that we live on a globe flying through an infinitely expanding, impossible space vacuum, then all of your conclusions are going to be wrapped around that ball. When the truth is, aliens make absolutely no sense in a heliocentric world. Here, stop sharing for a moment, and let's talk for a second. So, the closest star, other than our sun, you globalists are going to say that, is 4.5 light years away. That's 25 trillion miles. That's the closest star. So how many stars are in our galaxy? 100 billion. That last time they counted. 100 billion, right? And then how many galaxies are there? There's infinite galaxies. And so the closest star to us is 4.5 light years, which is 25 trillion miles away. Do you know how far that is? Do you know how far 25 trillion miles is?
It's unimaginable, really.
It's unimaginable. Do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is? Just to give you an idea what a trillion is. How long is 1 trillion seconds? Take a guess.
Is it like 100 years?
Very close. Want to take a guess? A little higher.
125 years.
31,000 years. Okay.
Oh.
So 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. If you and I got in a rocket ship and we're flying at a mile per second for 31,000 years, we are 1/25th of the way to the closest star. Okay. But you know what? I'm going to save you some time. Elon Musk is a good friend of mine. He's going to give me a rocket that goes 100,000 miles an hour. Unfathomable speed. It's only going to take us 28,000 years to get to that star. And when we get there, we find out that there's no life on any of the planets that are allegedly going around that light in the sky. So now we have to go to the next star, which is 1,000 times farther. Okay? Let that sink in. Most people can't. They've short-circuited already. They can't process these numbers because you were never taught to process numbers like this, right? So we have to believe that aliens are coming from other planets at distances that are incomprehensible and crashing in Roswell. When the truth is, maybe they're just coming from the outer lands, right? If we live, hold on, let me pull this up. So if we live,
how about interdimensional beings? Do you believe in interdimensional beings?
That's a whole nother thing, a whole nother story here. So I'm going to just type in maps over here on the app. I have an app, by the way. What's that?
I've heard people tell me that they've seen unidentified flying objects coming out of the ocean from more than one person, and reputable people have said
I believe that there's stuff under us and stuff above us, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. There's all sorts of interdimensional things, but let's take the word extraterrestrial. Extra means what? Give me another word for extra.
More.
Terrestrial. Give me another word.
Land.
Land. So more land.
Yeah.
Extraterra.
Yeah.
Extraterrestrial. So so we live here. Here's South America, Africa, United States, right? So here's Australia. If somebody lived here in this outer space and they came to visit us, they would be an extraterrestrial from outer space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So somebody could literally come from, let's say they're on this little piece of land here. They could fly up, abduct somebody, anally probe them, and make it back in home in time for dinner with their kids that same day. Okay?
That's how they felt about the Western explorers when the American Indians and the people in Mexico saw these people coming in with guns and everything from Europe. So, yeah, they thought they were aliens as well.
So aliens and extraterrestrials are two different words that people intermix. Aliens are, you can use them together, but I like the word extraterrestrial coming from the extraterra. Aliens, spirits, angels, demonic spirits, that's a whole nother interdimensional thing. And that's a whole nother topic. But if you want to think about humanoid people coming to invade us, they're coming from the outer lands. So this would be our pond. Okay. This would literally be our pond. And if you want to take it another step farther, this is a map that was found in a Buddhist temple and published in 1910 in a Hawaiian magazine. Look at all these continents out here. Look at all of these, right? That's just our local area. What if, let's take it a step farther. What if we were here? Okay. What if we were living here? Like, this is us right here. Here's our pond. Here are other pieces of the plane or planets across the pond. Now, everything that all of these ET people are talking about, all of these visitations, traveling to other planets and everything, all of this is doable on a flat Earth system without folding space-time and wormholes. These are just thousands of miles away, not trillions of light years. These are just thousands of miles away. So am I claiming this is real? I don't know. It rings real to me, but all of the stuff they're talking about could be wrapped on this model and it would make sense versus wrapped in a scientifically impossible space vacuum. I mean, people are like, well, how come we can see Polaris? We can't see it from Australia. Well, explain to me how Polaris or any star exists, right? What does gas do? When you have gas, it violently fills the available space. Always, no matter what, no matter how much gravity you have, no matter where you are, if you have a box filled with air and you're in a vacuum in a room that has no air, you can open up the top of that box, the bottom, the side, and the air will violently fill the available space, right? So gas fills the available space, except in space, gas collapses and creates stars. Gas
So what is
collapses, and wait, our sun burn. It's made of helium and hydrogen, which has gravity. With helium and hydrogen defy gravity here on Earth. And there's so much of it that it's burning, I believe, 100 billion tons either a minute or an hour or something like that, something ridiculous, for billions of years, and it's still not getting smaller? What are we talking about? How much gas do you need before it collapses and turns into a star? Once you understand the impossibility of that, all of space is gone. Stop talking about the space. Stop talking about the stars that we can see and can't see, right? You can't see stars at the size and distances that they're telling us. It's impossible. You couldn't see Polaris if it was 2 light months away. And we can prove that scientifically for the size of, when I go like this, I have something goes on.
It's a party, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So at
So
the
what are we
sizes,
seeing then?
yeah,
What are we seeing when we look up to the sky and we see those sparkly things up there?
yeah. So no astronomer ever has seen a star, amateur or professional, has seen a star, anything other than a point of light in the sky. But when we take our today's consumer optics and we zoom in, this is Betelgeuse, right? That's beautiful, right? Take a look at that. Take a look at that. Here's another one I like.
So what is that though?
I think this is me, again, making claims. The only thing you can say about the sun, moon, stars, comets, or anything we see in the sky that's not man-made is it's a light. That's all you can actually honestly say, because we're seeing it, therefore it is a light, right? That's all you can honestly say. I think stars are angels.
Wow, interesting that you say that, because I was going to say that they were souls.
Stars are souls, angelic. And guess what? Never in the history of all time. So you have to remember, we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour around the sun, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. They tell us that 80% of the stars in our galaxy are binary, which means that they're orbiting around each other while orbiting around the solar system. So to picture what that looks like, find a giant beehive and throw a rock at it. Those are all of the stars. That's what all those bees are doing, what the stars do. But never once in history has 2 stars changed position due to parallax. Never once has it changed. Here, this is an example of parallax, right? So these are people on a 0G plane. All of these are stars. And see how they're all crossing each other's paths? Because they're all moving, right? They're all moving. Have it in slow motion. Yeah, see how they cross each other? That's called parallax. No one has ever seen a star cross a path like these are all crossing each other. It's never happened.
Now, why don't most people think critically the way you do?
You could stop at the first couple words. Why don't most people think? Stop there.
Yeah,
that's the real question, because they've been indoctrinated to memorize and regurgitate. Hey, Dave, everybody can't be in this. They're all teachers in on it. No, teachers are the ones that memorize and regurgitate the Rockefeller nonsense the best. And because they got straight A's, they become teachers and they get to teach it to the next group.
Yeah, I learned that, and that's why we're in such a dangerous position right now. I was at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, in the class of '93 alongside Carter Page, and we were supposed to be the world premier leadership laboratory. And what I noticed was that those people, like you just described, were the ones that moved up. So it wasn't necessarily the critical thinkers, which I am, because I was constantly questioning the orders that I was being given by this toxic leadership. And all they said was, don't ask us why. If we tell you to jump, just ask how high.
That's
But the
right.
thing is,
You're not allowed to ask questions. You have to
yeah,
just follow orders. And it's that way in industry and scientists and doctors. You know, if you go against the mainstream, you're sent out, you lose your funding, you lose your job, and people, people need to support themselves. Stars are angels. The reason they don't move is because they're perfect. I
now,
like
do you
that.
believe?
That's me. That's me talking, by the way.
Do
Right?
you believe in reincarnation, that those angels are looking up above, down on us?
I,
We
I
are some sort of a matrix, some sort of a higher plan from a creator, and that when they see that we've outlived our purpose, whatever that might be, they enter into us. Because I've met and interviewed people on my show. I had one guy on the show who claimed that he was a reincarnation of Kennedy when he was assassinated, that he exited Kennedy's body and entered into the body of a 3-year-old. And
Well,
he
if
remembered
Kennedy's
it
not
clearly.
dead, then he's lying. I don't know if Kennedy's dead. That's all. That's a whole
Yeah,
other rabbit hole. But
yeah,
listen, I believe there are reincarnation. Is that the right word? I believe that we are
yeah.
eternal spirits. We are eternal spirits. We're having a physical experience in the mind of God. We're in the mind of God. We're in this giant toroidal field. Everything in the sky, everything on the earth is alive and connected. Okay. And
Electrically.
electrically, energetically, you look at the moon map, it matches the earth map. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Everything is connected. We're all part of the same system. Here's a picture of Sirius. Check this out. This is by
That's
Mikey
amazing.
Smith. Sirius. If you look at the Sirius satellite logo, it's very similar to this picture of Sirius, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what I see when I see Sirius. Everything in the distance becomes a sphere, no matter what it is, right? All lights, everything in the distance literally goes to a vanishing point. It goes to a let me show you an example.
Showed that with the example of the train. You know, the train
Yeah.
tracks,
Look at
distance.
you're watching my stuff.
Yeah.
So here is the train, and I tell people, I say, is this the sun or the moon? Thanks for blowing it. Okay. Excuse me.
But you're taking the spiritual aspect of this. How did you end up falling into the spiritual realm when you shed doubt on the existence of all these things?
It's not playing for some reason. Well, when that comes forward, it's not going to come forward. Oh, there it comes.
There it is.
There it comes. You'll see that it's not a sphere at all. It's a bunch of rectangular lights and different color lights, but we see it in the distance as a sphere. So people say, well, I've seen Saturn, I've seen the moon. I think they are spheres, okay? But the lights on my ceiling are spheres, but my floor is flat. I mean, that has nothing to do with the shape of the floor. All right, what was your question about that?
How did you end up going into the spiritual aspect of all this with your doubt? Because you doubted the mainstream narrative and you ended up seeing angels instead of stars.
Well, my whole life I rejected religion, God, creator, and I was science. I love science. I was really good at astronomy, and I had access to an observatory for 4 years, and we were zooming in on things that we weren't supposed to be zooming in on, and I believed everything they told me it was. You zoom in on something, and they're like, well, that star is, 47 light years away. Wow, that's so cool that I can see that. Well, actually, if you focus, you can focus on the moon. You can focus in front of the moon. You can focus beyond the moon. You can do the same with a star. You can do the same with a planet. Focus on one of them and switch to another, and it's still in focus. What's going on there? That would suggest that they're all the same distance. How far away are they? I can, when the moon is up in the sky here, I'm down on the water, and I could zoom in on the details of the moon, and then I could zoom in to New York City, which is 25 miles away, and I get less detail. What does that say? Is the moon closer than 25 miles? The moon that I see?
Yeah, I've always thought the moon looked a lot closer, and even the sun looks a lot closer than what they claim it is.
Well, if you look at the moon, go out on a full moon night, when there's clouds out, you will be able to see that they're lighting up the moon light. The moon is a light, is lighting up the lighting up the clouds, only the ones near it. If it was 250,000 miles away, like they tell us, it would light up all of the clouds if it was able to do that. Here's a stone, a ball, cement ball at noon. How come it's not reflecting light? This one is. This one I could read a book by. It's casting my shadow on the ground. And it's traveling 250,000 miles, which means that light is getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer exponentially. I'm standing right next to this thing. It should knock me over with its brightness.
Yeah.
Right? So, people are like, well, the moon can't be that close because of this triangulation. I don't think the moon is a physical object. I think everybody sees it in a position relative to their own position. I mean, this is not reflecting light. This is the moon. It's right there. So check this out. This is, oops, that's not what I was showing. This is the moon. Look, how come it's not lighting up these clouds or these clouds over here? It's just lighting up these.
Yeah.
Like it's right above them. Boy, I go up in an airplane higher than the clouds because as you go up, the moon moves with you. It moves with you. As you go, it moves because you're seeing it in an apparent position.
So these, if they're not aliens, they're extraterrestrials outside of our understanding of the continents that ends with the Arctic wall. Why are they wanting to keep us so dumbed down? What is the advantage to us knowing these things that how have you become a better person by knowing these things that most people don't accept as reality?
Because when you know that the world is created for you and there is a higher power, you behave better. I was a good person before I knew. I was good, trustworthy. But when you actually know your true position and your true purpose for being here, you become nicer, I think. You become, more caring, more godlike, if you will, if that's a description, of a caring person. So, when we're looking up at the sky, I'm sorry, your question was, you're asking me, what was the question exactly?
Yeah, these entities that are beyond our scope of understanding, that are controlling these world leaders that show up to Antarctica to have these meetings with them. And then they take their orders from these people. And essentially their orders are to keep us ignorant of these realities which you've tapped into. Why do they want to keep the masses so ignorant of this? And how have you, as someone who's gone down that rabbit hole and said, oh, wait a minute, you're fooling me. I know the truth and you're not giving it to me. You said that makes you a better person and you live a better life. But realize there's a lot of people who hate you for it. There's a lot of people who call you a shill, or because you have the last name Weiss, they're like, oh, he can't be trusted. He's a J-E-W. So like, as much as you're trying to be that better person, you're still vilified because of these people who are on the outside who have you as a target because of what you know. Same thing with Alex Jones, same thing with me, same thing with Sean from SGT and Jeff Berwick and all these other truth tellers.
The way I look at that is that's their problem, not my problem. That's their problem. They're not even in my life. The people that, if you pay attention to the haters, the trolls, everything, you're inviting them in to wrap around your spinal cord and control you. Right? I do not pay any attention. People send me like, hey, did you see what this person said about you? I'm like, no, I don't watch that person. Why? Don't send that to me. Energy flows where attention goes, right? When you understand what this place is, it lifts you out of depression. I've seen Flat Earth take people off of depression, off of drug addiction because of depression or whatever. People do all sorts of stuff to moderate themselves. Your soul is your true angelic self. And your soul is trying to talk to your conscious mind. I believe that we come here with amnesia, so we have to figure the whole place out. Because if we knew everything, we'd be like, it doesn't matter. Go ahead. You wouldn't care. And when your soul is trying to talk to your mind and your mind isn't listening because it's too lost in the television programming and, and it's just everything, your soul will get depressed. Like, oh, this is just a pain in the ass. And that's where depression comes from. And so, take a pill, take this, feel better, don't feel anything at all, do this, do that, right? All of that nonsense, right? That's just treating a symptom. you have to find out the cause. And I believe that, you know, if you look at all flat earthers, they come from all walks of life, all levels of socio-economical scale, if that's a thing, you know, where people are, all different people are flat earth. But when they wake up to this truth, they now, you know, we get accused, oh, you flat earthers, you just want to feel special. You want to feel better than everybody else. I think everybody wants to, but that's not why we ended up here, right? It's where we ended up because it's reality. And once you understand that, hey, my thoughts actually can create my reality. There are really good people out there. There is a great future for us. When you start thinking that way, that is attracted to you. The biggest conspiracy of the world in the world is the system, aka universe, is conspiring to deliver you everything that you're thinking, good or bad, right? If you're constantly going, oh, I'm just gonna live on paycheck to paycheck, I'm never gonna have enough money, I'm never gonna have enough time, then you're not. You're creating that reality, right? Then you say, okay, I heard what Dave said. I want $1 million. And what you're sending out is I don't have $1 million. I'll never have $1 million. I'm going to be broke the rest of my life. It's not about that. Never say, I want money. Say, what do you really want? You want to feel good? You want to help other people? You want to expand your consciousness? You want to help other people unplug from the heliosinister matrix, right? Those are things that you want. Focus on those things, and then the tools, the means will come. And people are like, oh, that's just, you know, that's just thinking. You got to work hard your whole life. You know what? I've never worked harder my entire life, right? I've never worked harder than this. I literally do this 18 hours a day, and then the 8 hours that I'm not doing it, I'm thinking about it, and that includes while I'm sleeping, right? I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, I got to get up. I got to write that down. That's a really good idea, right? But I've never been happier. I've never been happier. And I've always been pretty happy.
I feel the same way because it's an energy force, the creativity, the love, and we are all electric and we flow. That's why I always say live, love, flow. And what I mean by that is every morning we make the conscious decision to get up out of bed and go into that cruel world. Some people are too afraid and they become agoraphobic and they just stay home. Or I think in Japan, they called hikikomoris. They just stay in their apartment. They order everything in and they never see the outside world. They don't have to interact with people. Or you can choose to live, get dressed, make yourself presentable, go out into the world, and then show love to people. And then you have that positive interaction rather than running around all hateful and mean-spirited and everything, because that's what you're going to attract. And then if you attract that love, then you flow, and you flow forward like a river forward, never going back. So that's the way that I've tried to have as my mantra in life. And one of the things that I must say, though, in this journey that I've taken, like you, in questioning the mainstream narrative that I've been fed, is that it gets lonely because, for example, if I try to go out and speak to people at a local bar or just like at a park or something about the conversation that you and I are having, most people, they'll just, their eyes will glaze back and they'll freak out, you know. But somehow, for whatever reason, at this moment in time, like-minded people like yourself, myself, Jeff Berwick, and everything, we're coming together and we're speaking. And those people who are watching these shows, which it's a niche audience because either you believe in it or you don't. But there's a lot more of us out there than they would want us to believe. So how do you deal with that? Like when you go out and you try to have these conversations with people, do their eyes glaze over, or do you just not even bother to talk about this kind of stuff?
It's been a transition for a long time, and luckily for me, I've become so public about this that, you know, I'm literally the guy that they find these days, where people are recognizing me. I flew to Austin to do some interviews last week, and on the way down, someone in the airport recognized me, and on the way back, 2 people recognized me in the airport. Just random people are like, "Hey, Flat Earth Dave," and so for me, I love bringing it up, but I don't bring it up. I let other people bring it up because they see me, they bring it up now. So I'm in a kind of a unique spot. But you know, I've made it easy for people to to bring it up to other people. I'm teaching people how to ask questions, right? I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. So some people, that might work for their friends, like, oh, flat earth is stupid. You know, they try to talk to them and say, hey, this crazy guy is offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Help me. And then you watch A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth 21 Questions, which is a movie even a glober with a short attention span can watch, because it's the top 21 beliefs explained away to a flat earth. And they're like 3 or 4 minutes each segment, right? And so I teach people to ask questions, and it's getting easier and easier, right? It's getting easier and easier. People are converting over fast. So if you want to get into flat earth, now's the time, because people are converting over. And I'm telling you, in a year from now, I think the globers are going to be the minority. They're going to be the minority.
The people like Soros, Rockefeller, Rothschilds, the Reynolds family, they must be flat earthers, because they have the knowledge. They hide this knowledge.
Yeah, they
have
know.
Have you been invited into those circles, or are you ostracized from those circles?
I don't even know any of those people. My co-host on the Flat Earth podcast was Tim Rothschild and Mike Cannon. Tim is an adopted kid to a working class family in Nyack, New York. Right? I think his father was a carpenter or something. His mother's a nurse. I'm not sure. And that's the only Rothschild I know, but by adoption, and it's not even the royal family, right? So, you know, these I've never been approached. And I always tell you, people are like, Dave, aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid? I'm not afraid. Fear is that false energy appearing real. The devil, the evil, can't read your thoughts, but they can hear your words and they can see your actions, right? I know that the creator has my back, right? My biggest fear is that 2 guys in suits show up my house and they're like, hey, Dave, we got a chai latte for you. We just want to have a conversation with you. And they're like, hey, you know, you're causing a little bit of a problem for us, and we're offering you a beautiful house on a tropical island in the Caribbean where you can kite surf right out of your yard. It's got mature mango trees on it and avocado trees. It's got a food forest on it, and it's all yours if you just stop talking about flat earth, right? Take it or leave it, right? That's my biggest fear. Because I might be in a day where I'm so sick of dealing with people. I'm like, you know what? I'm out, but I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I'd like to believe that I would not accept that offer. I'd like to believe that I would not accept that offer. I really want to believe that I would not accept that offer.
So they're controlling us with this Babylonian magic trick, which, like you said earlier, brought you down this rabbit hole of questioning things, because you were initially attracted to the financial aspect and how this is all just a scam. So these people who are outside of the ice walls, who are trying to use these puppets to control us on the inside, why are they doing this? Are we living on a prison planet? And if so, are we just cattle, as we are called, goyim? How does this all go back again to this whole situation where we are seen to be cattle, but there are certain people that are 2% of the population that control the rest of the 98 through the pharmacia, through the medical industry, through the media, through Hollywood and all this other stuff? Why is that happening?
Summarize that question again. Exactly. What was it?
So there are people outside that are controlling they have these meetings in Antarctica. They go there, they get their orders, then they come back, and they're King Charles, who's just a puppet, Macron, who's just a puppet, Biden, who's a puppet. These are all puppets, but they're taking their orders from these extraterrestrial beings, in the sense that they're outside of the terrestrial realm that we know of with these continents. What's our purpose? Are we in the prison planet and they're in paradise on the outside, and they feed off of us? Is it our energy? Is it our ignorance? Is it our meat and our blood with the adrenochrome? What are we doing here?
I believe that this is a spiritual war, and the way to get to win a spiritual war is to have people believe that there's no such thing as a spiritual war. I think you used the word louche before. They want our louche energy. They love when people follow fear-mongering truthers, even though they're putting out truth, as long as they're putting out fear, as long as everyone has that fear. And, you know, the thing is, I used to wake people up. I had a thing called Exposing the Big Three: Sandy, Boston, and Manhattan. Okay, those 3 things, because they're clearly not what they say, and they're easily seeable if you watch the proper information. Stoplookthink.com, anybody that wants to find that information. And then you wake up, and I would wake people up, and they go right back to sleep. They go back to work, like, oh, it's a different administration now, and it's not going to happen again, and blah 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 blah. But when you wake someone up to flat Earth, they literally unplug from the system. One thing the anti-flat Earthers, glober trolls out there get right. They go, oh, you guys, you're a flat earther. You're probably an anti-vaxxer. Yep, we are. Every single one of us. Okay. But as far as, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Keep going, because you haven't answered the question yet.
The question was, hit me with the question.
What is our purpose?
Our purpose. Yeah. So our purpose is to expand the mind of God. That's how I say it. Our purpose is to expand our mind of God, explore, learn, and bring this world back to the incredible kingdom that it was. I mean, there was pyramids, people like, oh, the Giza pyramids are amazing. Look at the pyramids in China. There's hundreds of them, bigger than Giza. They're everywhere, right? There's all across America. There's so much going on. And that was taken away from us. Why did it happen? We could speculate all day. What was here? Who was here? When was it here before us? We just know it was here before us. We don't know all of the details, and we're figuring that out. I want to talk about that in a second. But in the book section on my app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, there's a part called More Land, and in it is a book called The Iron Republic, The Navigator Across the Ice Wall, Worlds Beyond the Poles. There's some great books in here. The Smoky God, all of these books right here. Read them, and then you'll understand that there's more. But if you live in a ball, if you live on their ball field, you have to play by their ball rules, right? And if you use their fiat currency, you have to play by their rules. They control you with the currency, right? There's free electricity here. It's proven. There's patents that how they use it, right? Tesla lit up the world's fairs. And once you see that, you really have more purpose. You're like, what if you didn't have to pay for electricity for your house, right? Heating for your house or fuel for your car, and you could have as much as you wanted, and it was actually good. It wasn't dirty in any way, shape, or form, so you could do as much as you want. That would free you up. That would free you up a lot. People would have a lot more freedom, but people work to pay for all of this stuff. Tesla lit up the world's fairs in the early 1900s, and JP Morgan goes, how do we bill for this? He's like, yeah, you can't. And JP Morgan goes, well, I own telegraph pole companies, so that won't be worth anything. And I own copper wire companies, that won't be worth anything. And I own coal mines, and the trains that travel, that transport that coal, that's not going to be worth anything. Yeah, you're going to be shut down, Tesla. We're shutting you down, right? And they literally stole that from us to control us completely. So our purpose is to expand the mind of God, and this place is amazing. There is so much information out here, and if you can't get someone into flat Earth, there's a great way to get them in. Have you watched Old World Order yet?
Totally, absolutely. Yeah. And having traveled around the world, I've seen that firsthand, and yeah. I'm just like, it's amazing how much is kept from us.
People don't make
smarter we seem to have been in the past, that we could even travel by air in the past. I mean, when you see the books of ancient India, they were actually floating cities.
Right. So that's one thing. There's video of airships, and everyone's like, oh, airships, very dangerous. Hindenburg, right? Hindenburg was a false flag to demonize hydrogen, and helium is the only other gas that you can use. And guess who controls 99% of the helium on Earth? NASA, the fakers at NASA. Right? Because they don't want you in a airship. People go, oh, they go too slow. They go 300 miles an hour, right? They can get in the air. They can go all over the place in luxury. And people are like, well, they don't hold many people. The little pod underneath, that's the pilot's quarters. Inside the airship is a cruise ship. There's floors, apartments. There's nightclubs. There's restaurants. There's theaters, right? They hold thousands of people. And they fly through the sky gracefully. And with an airship, you can go beyond where they would want us to go, right? Imagine going in an airship, cruise ship style airship, and you're going to go to the outer lands, right? Let's say it's going to take you a week to get there. You're on a cruise ship for a week. amazing views, beautiful, right? They don't want that. That's what used to be here. Watch Old World Order. Where do you find it? It's on the Stu Peters Network, but you can find a banner on my website, flatearthdave.com, right at the top. Click it, watch it with your family, watch it with your kids, watch it with your loved ones, watch it, and then send it to other people. It's free to watch. It's on my website, flatearthdave.com, Old World Order. That's a stepping stone to Flat Earth. That'll bring you to Flat Earth. What?
Chatter now is that there's going to be a global conflict that is going to create several false flags, creating polycrisis, particularly in the United States of America, where the population is going to be brought down to about 100 million people, maybe even 60 million people.
So the Deagle report reported that in 2017. And they said, the population in 2017 is 330 some odd million. And by 2025, it'll be 100 million. That's a serious depopulation. And the UK has even a bigger depopulation. However, I think they were counting on the V program and all these other things to go better than they did. They want us to have a revolution so they can pull down martial law and force all sorts of nonsense on us. The WHO, that organization, is passing some rules. They're unelected, but they're passing rules where they're going to be able to mandate forced, pokey pokes. And this is all insanity, but we have to let that happen. And people have to be brainwashed in it. People have to be scared of the birdie flu, right? People have to be afraid. People aren't afraid. I think that their plan isn't working. So they're trying to get a revolution. How do you make people rise up? Well, it's really hard when you've vaccinated them and you've and fluoridated them and chemtrailed them, where their brains literally don't do anything. We should have had a revolution last year when the CIA admitted they killed Kennedy. Okay, we should have had a revolution. They were hoping for it when they arrested Donald Trump. Now, if they put him in jail, maybe that'll work. Then they'll take Alex Jones off the air at the same time, and that'll rile everyone up. They're trying to get us to fight back. But the truth is, if everybody just stopped paying attention to them, all of this goes away, right? We don't need to take down the government. That's silly. We need to ignore the government. Ignore.
I think the solution is we need to stop with the Babylonian magic trick, because just like you said earlier, we have the technology already in the ether that we can produce our own energy, which would allow people to enter into a new golden age, a renaissance of creating things, of producing their own food, of being better people. But as long as they have everybody in that stress mode of money, 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 and you have the
money, fear, lack, right? We live in a world of abundance. False evidence appearing real is nonsense. The news gives you cancer. Okay, there are cures for everything. Your body doesn't have an immune system. It has a I'm well system. Okay, all right. They're poisoning you into senility and sickness. They want you sick. Their stated goal publicly is to have every kid on at least three lifelong medications, right? Because, think about this. You own a huge company. Its success and profits rely on people being sick. Are you going to make things that make them well? No. You're going to make things that make them sicker. That's what you're going to do.
So how do we get people to get out of that mind frame? Because I even know friends and family that work for pharmaceutical, that work in medical, and I'm like, you realize your job is evil, but they
can't realize that, because then their kids are going to end up homeless. They're going to lose their homes. People are lost. It's all important. A lot of jobs are just jobs programs. NASA is a jobs program. They want people. You can't have a good slave unless they have a job, unless they feel like, I'm doing pretty good. I get 2 weeks off a year paid. And, in the summer, I get a half a day on Friday for 8 weeks. So I'm very happy. Right. And I'm going to work my whole life. I'm going to I'm going to fund wars with a 40% of what I make. But life is good. Right. That's not life. That's not life at all. Right.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
By the way,
if anybody is looking, if anyone in the United States is looking to, I'm going to speak in code a little bit, to not fund terrorism with their hard-earned money, a certain percentage of it, there is an amazing lawful way to do that. And you can email me at info@theflatearthpodcast.com. We do a Zoom call every couple of weeks. And we're doing one actually tomorrow. What's today? Today, Monday? Tomorrow. We're doing one tomorrow night. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know when this airs, but we're doing it tomorrow night. So if you are funding unwillingly the terrorism of that private bank in Puerto Rico supports, email me and listen to this this is a legal and lawful way that is super simple, super easy, and mind-blowing.
Do you think it's the Nazis or not aliens? We've already said that there's no space, so these are extraterrestrials. Because I've heard that after or during World War II, the Nazis went ahead and started lands and places to live in Antarctica, and that's where they're based now. Are these people living a more wholesome life than we are in the material world that we exist on this prison planet that they have us in?
You know, I heard that at the end of the war, like 2,000 submarines were stolen from Russia, and like 250,000 people escaped to Antarctica. Now, Antarctica is not an ice ball. It's not there. Antarctica is the shoreline of our world. Antarctica is the gateway to could be the most amazing lands and civilizations that you could imagine.
Yeah.
Read the Iron Republic, which is a story about a politician in New York in the late 1800s, got sick and tired of the nonsense, sold his house, everything, bought a nice big ship, went to Antarctica, ended up going through an opening, ended up back out in the ocean, was lost. The stars were different, couldn't figure out where they were, lost for 3 months, saw land, saw a city, waited for the morning, and a boat came out and greeted them. And they're like, hey, where are we? We're from America. Where is this? He's like, this is the Iron Republic. They're like, where's that? He goes, well, it's on the other side of Antarctica, about the same distance as the United States. Long story short, they went ashore. They described in a completely different civilization, high tech, flat screens. This is in 1901. This was written. Okay. And the guy ended up staying there for a decade. He ended up falling in love, got married, and something happened. I think his wife died, got his ship back, went back, landed in Florida, tells the story. And there's a lot to it. It's a great book, but you can also, if you go on the app and go to the search feature and just search Iron Republic, there's a audio, there's a video, audio book version of it, so you can listen to it if you're driving to your slave job, and it'll blow you away. And here's the thing: is it true? Rings true to me. But either way, in the early 1900s, they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica. Everyone's like, we've known the Earth is a globe for 2,000 years. Eratosthenes figured it out. No, he didn't. That's a made-up story, and even if it was real, it doesn't prove the Earth is a globe. It works perfectly on a flat Earth. It's always funny that the Globers go, oh, we can prove the Earth is a globe. So-and-so 100 years ago, so-and-so 2,000 years ago, so-and-so, all of these fictional stories from the past. Why don't you show me today? Because we can do Eratosthenes' experiment in a couple of hours with modern travel and communications. He did it where his buddy walked 500 miles counting his steps to know he's 500 miles away, and somehow they communicated at the exact moment to measure shadows. People don't think. They're told a story. They're like, well, my teacher told me that. Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie, he told me. I got to believe that. And they don't think. Belief is the enemy of knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Hey, we've had an amazing discussion, and we've just touched the surface. I'd love to revisit this someday, because we touched on the spiritual. We haven't touched on the extra, like ghosts and stuff. Do you believe in that?
So that's something that I believe in. I don't have any proof of it other than some personal experiences that I've experienced. People can say I'm psychotic. I had some demons that held me down at night or whatever. But that's a whole nother thing. I call them shadow people. And it was interesting, but I don't really go down that road. There's other people that have done more work, people that have done great stuff. Go watch their stuff. I don't really know a lot about that, but I believe it exists. I believe there's all different sorts of levels of there's 7 heavens above us, non-physical. I believe that the stars are friggin' angels. Okay. So that should answer the question a little bit. And I believe that there's more dense layers below us. I believe there's a lot going on below us. And that's not just a belief. There's so much proof of that, of all of these things that you see, that they're uncovering when they're doing construction, or an earthquake happens and it opens up a cavern and there's friggin' a temple down there. You know, there's all sorts of stuff. Old World Order. Check out it on my website. That's a great way to bring your friends and family into actually thinking. Their brains will turn on for the first time and go, yeah, I never thought about that. The reason they don't know the earth is flat is because they never thought about it. And when they did, they were fed, the disc in space, the flat earth, what they want you to, what they want you to see. They want you to see this, right? You look up flat earth, you see, oops, how come that didn't go? That is interesting. Did I freeze?
You froze up a little bit.
I froze. Is that my
It's
internet,
okay.
or is that my?
Yeah, now you're good. Now you're back.
All right, but I'm frozen. Oh, there, it's coming in slowly.
Yeah, they don't want people to hear what you've got to say.
I froze. I don't like that. What is going on? All right, well, you're not frozen. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you and I can see you. Yes, and you look great. I see the disc behind you, and
yeah,
that's not what people should believe it is, because that's
right.
not what it is.
Right.
We are living under a dome, though, aren't we? With the Van Allen belt.
We are living under some sort of enclosure, but again, we don't need to make speculation of what that is, how far it is, how big it is. We don't need to do that to prove the earth is flat. We can see too far. There's all sorts of proof. People, they'd love to say, oh, you flat earthers, there's no proof. There's no proof. There's tons of proof of the globe, and there's no proof of flat earth. That's what they like to say, right? And the truth is the opposite. The opposite is the truth. The opposite is true. There's so much proof of where we live. It's that there's so much proof of flat earth. It's unbelievable. On the app, if you go to the image section and you type in, there's a sighting, we'll call it, you can say we see too far, just type in 700. 700 is this shot right here. And in the distance here, there's all of these mountains. They're all labeled. They're over 700 miles away. And from this height where this camera is, subtracting for the height, because when you're higher, you can see farther. They should be over 50 miles below the curvature. 50 miles of missing curvature. And mainstream, you know what they say about that? Nothing, because they can't, right? And over here where these two arrows are, you really can't see. There's a whole bunch more mountains that are farther away, but we can still see them, and they all line up on a perfect plane. So you have three choices. One, magically, those mountains are refracting up and stopping at eye level, and everything in between is refracting up a different amount to make it look like a level plane. Option two, the Earth is 1,000,000 times bigger than they tell us, so we really don't see the curvature in that distance, because it would be less of a curve as it's bigger. Option three, the world is flat. Get over it. Deal with it. Okay? It's flat.
You're so passionate. You're so passionate about this. Why is it that you have chosen to do this, even though you've essentially risked your reputation? And I mean, you could be totally just chilling out, doing whatever. Instead, you were so passionate about it, and you put a lot of work into it.
Let me tell you something, why I'm passionate about it. I was born and raised in Connecticut, Fairfield County. I went to college. I worked in industry for a long time. I was in the printing industry for 25 years, right? And I rose to the top of that. And then I kind of got tired of that. And I said, I got to find something else. And I got into the solar power business, and I got in, and I was selling residential solar. And I was like, this is pointless. I said, we got to sell big rooftops. And the company goes to me, they go, there's no way to finance it. It's not worth it. You can't do it. I figured out a way with another buddy of mine there. We figured out a way, and we took we created a commercial division of the company, rose to the top, right? Then they sold the company, and the company that bought it was a residential solar company. And they said, oh, we're getting rid of that. And it's like, okay, let's start our own company. So we started our own company with a better model, and we rose to be #1 in the East Coast. Okay. We identified jobs, we financed them, and we built them and ran them, right? And it was doing really, really well. But my truth stuff started getting in the way because my partners, one of them couldn't care less. The other one was like, didn't like truth. He's a normie, right? And it started getting in the way. And then I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to drop truth? Or am I going to drop everything I worked my entire life for? I had my own company. I made a manifestation board. I said, I want to be the CEO of my own company was one of the things I put on the board, right? I want to have more free time. I want to do what I love. I want to travel more. I want to be the CEO of my own company. I kind of giggled because I didn't even know what a CEO did when I wrote that down, right? And then one day I found myself in the office in the evening balancing the books for that month. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the CEO of my own company, right? So long story short, or short story long, I realized that the world is going to hell. And the reason for it is because people are lost in space, spinning out of control. And this is a very unpopular truth, even to truthers. But I said, I gotta do it. And I'm feeling this something inside of me is telling me, walk away, walk away, walk away. Thank God my father passed away years ago because he would have shot me. He would have killed me. What do you mean you're walking away, right? Everything that he trained me to do, everything I work for, I'm walking away. So I had to go home. Went home that day and I asked for a couple signs. I got 2 signs that were crazy. And, but I was paying my bills. This is a 3rd sign. And some money had just come in from my app. A little bit of money came in from Apple and it covered my bills to the last dollar. I literally paid my bill with the last dollar, right? All my bills are paid to the last dollar. I was like, that's a sign. I was like, you know what? If I left, I could do this more. Then I would sell more apps and I'd be able to cover my costs, right? Meanwhile, I never, I was making very good money in my company, very good money with a very good future. And I was like, what good is that future if the world is going to hell? And so I walked away. Owen Benjamin is the one that made me do it. I was like, I don't know what to do. And he goes, just do it. The creator's got your back. And I was like, okay. And I did it. So I parted with my own company. And here I am talking to you. And I've never been having a better time. I lost, excuse me, it's early morning here. I lost some friends. Some of them are slowly coming back now. They're starting to see. Some of their friends are waking up. My kids, they're like, whatever, we don't care. But now their friends are like, hey, Earth is flat and your dad is the guy, right? And so it's all coming, excuse me, it's all coming back around. And I also, in the meantime, made tons of friends. If you look on my app, which has the friend finder on it, let me just click that for a second. And we look at the world. Now, this represents, I think, less than 1% of the people that are flat Earth. Probably a small fraction. Look at all these people, right?
Wow, that's fantastic.
These are people that are on the app. And also, people say, I'm on the, I'm lonely. I don't have any more friends. I can't talk to my family about this. So you can go on the app and you can click on these people around you and look up their profiles and make meetups and stuff. I just added on the app a meetup maker, right? Let me just show you what that looks like real quick.
That's a great idea, man. This is great.
So the meetup maker looks like this. And I could say sort by date. And let me just look at the future a little bit. And these are people that have created meetups. And you can search by location. You can tell it to warn you whenever there's a meetup near you. It'll email you. So these are people that are doing meetups. I'm actually speaking at Flat Earth Social in the UK this end of this month, whenever that is, 25th, the 25th. And I'm also going to I'm speaking at this, which is Sounds Beautiful Music and Truth and Health Festival, 4-day camping festival in the UK, super cheap. You can find a link on my website if you don't have the app. And it's going to be a blast. It's going to be amazing music and truth and health and flat Earth. And we're going to convince everybody there that the Earth is flat. So there's just all these different things. So that's one thing. That's a way to do meetups. And then the other one is if I go to the little heart icon, this is the matchmaker.
A matchmaking? Oh,
a matchmaker.
Really?
So I say I'm a male, and I have my age as 2024, which makes me 1 year old, less than a year, because I don't want people seeing me as a result in there. You know, when they're searching. So I say, I'm looking for female. I'll just click all ages here and I'll hit search. And I have the radius set at 5,000 miles. You can set it because we just started this a few days ago. There's not that many people on it, but there's 46 people that meet that criteria. And I could swipe between, it's got to load for a second here. Come on, load.
You do all this. You must have.
I have a designer. It's still loading. Their picture will load in here. Why isn't that loading? All right, here we go. So you can go from person to person. Taking a moment to load here. But you can go from person to person, and then you can message them, and you can start talking to them, and you can do video calls, and you can do group calls, and you can do all sorts of things. Why isn't it loading?
That's fantastic. That's really good.
So this is phenomenal, and it's already working from day one. People were like messaging, and even before we had that, people were just randomly, looking up people and profiles and stuff. But I got to work on why that's not loading. I think it's because of the way I have it hooked up to my computer, and I'm using all my bandwidth.
I actually don't have a cell phone, so I still meet.
That's okay. You can do it on iPads. It's going to be there's going to be a Mac version app, and then after that, there's going to be a website version that'll work on every device's web browser. So here we go. Now it takes a moment to load, but here they go. Some people didn't put their pictures in, but so you scroll through and you can find, and I call it it's not the dating app. I call it the matchmaker, because you might be just looking for some other single friends to hang out with. I might be looking for a wingman, so you can say I'm looking for either, and you could tighten up the range and everything. So it is a great improvement to the app, along with a million other things that it does.
Wow, that's great, man. That's really, really good. And people can find us all at flatearthdave.com.
Flatearthdave.com. I have a shopping section, and I literally just added this like 10 minutes before the show. We if anyone that plays pickleball, we have a Flat Earth pickleball super good racket that it's called the Flat Smacker. So if anybody plays pickleball, it's a must-have. And
yes, that's cool.
And I opened up a new shop recently for these compasses, south, with north in the center, east and west are circles. They're beautiful. They're metal. Icewall.shop, but it's also on the app. Icewall.shop. And people love them. They come in different colors and sizes. They're a great conversation piece, and they look great above your mantle, on your wall, whatever. So there's all sorts of stuff there. All sorts of stuff.
It's been such a pleasure, man. We really just scratched the surface of so much that there is to talk about. But I really thank you for sharing this time with me and my audience. And for those of you who have never checked out my stuff, go to victorhugocollection.com. You can scroll to the bottom of the page. You can find my channels on BitChute, Rumble, and Brighteon there. And anything you want to say in closing, Dave?
Don't believe anything I say. Verify everything. The same for you. Anything that you say, verify what he says. Don't believe. Believe is a big lie in the middle of it, right?
Yes. And I always encourage everybody, doubt me. Please look it up for yourself.
And one thing we didn't touch on is I tell people, do not send your kids to college because you think that you have to. College is another trap of indoctrination and financial debt. Send them to Crow University. What is Crow University? You're familiar with Crow 777 Radio, right?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, so in the homeschool section, right here, Crow 777 Radio, and it's $8 a month if you want the full thing, and I highly recommend it. He does not offer financing, and so a bunch of people have done this. They have their kid listen to one episode every day for 5 days, and then they have the weekend off. Right? So that's 2 hours of listening to an audio podcast that you can be bike riding, kite surfing, gardening while you're doing it, hiking, doing productive things. And literally at the end of a month or two, that kid is going to be more educated than any college will ever make him, more prepared for reality, more of an amazing person. And people have done it, and they're like, oh my God, my kid has turned around. My kid he's got interest. Before he's like, I don't know what I want to do. I'll go to college. I'm supposed to study marketing. I don't know. And they start listening to this, and the kid starts getting inspired, and they start coming up with things. And instead of sending your kid to college, send them somewhere that stay in a house with a bunch of friends and do the Crow University. And then they'll be inspired. And then maybe you'll have some money to help them start their business or whatever it is that they want to do. right? If you want to be a surgeon, yes, go to medical school because you need to do that. If you want to be an allopathic doctor, don't. You're an idiot, right? What?
I hear you, and you sound so optimistic, which is refreshing because
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing, for example, when you were on Alex Jones, he's been fear mongering a lot lately, and a lot of other channels are saying that the apocalypse is, well, like a doomsday scenario because of this situation with NATO and everything. I can tell you from my own personal experience, surrounded by these Russians, Ukrainians, and people from the Middle East, because I'm in a gateway country. There's no fear here. I see families together. I see newborn babies in strollers every day. I see life moving forward, going on. I think the reason why I sense this, there's a lot of unity here, which is something that I'm noticing is missing in the United States of America. For example, my own family, my own friends, I lost them when I moved to China. They thought I was being a communist traitor. I was like, no, I'm going there as a cultural ambassador to kind of make peace between the United States and China, because I don't believe what they want me to believe, that the Chinese are our enemy, that the Russians are our enemy, that the Iranians are our enemy. No, I'm living with the enemy, and they're my friends. These people are great. They treat me better than my own brothers and sisters in the United States. I served and I'm a veteran, and I'm not getting any help. In order for me to get any help, I'd have to renounce my citizenship, re-enter the United States as an illegal alien, join MS-13, commit some crimes, and then I'll get free housing, free medical, and free transportation anywhere except for Martha's Vineyard, of course. But the point that I'm making is these people have been through war. They've been on the defensive side. You don't see the Russians invading other countries. They're always the ones being invaded, so they know how to defend their territory. And after that attack that they had in Moscow, they had so many people join the military that Putin actually had to say, whoa, hold on a second. We got enough. We don't need any more. Thank you. If we need you, we'll call you. Whereas in the United States and in Europe, they're going to have to do the draft because nobody wants to join. There's no unity. So anyway, the point that I'm making is, I think you know this as well, the U.S. military is a dud. They have what's called white elephants, which are these aircraft carriers, which are antiquated. The Chinese and the Russians have already proven that they can shut them down because they've got these electronic weapons systems. They can shut the whole United States down. They've got submarines already within range of the U.S. Basically, the U.S. is a sitting duck right now, which is by design because they wanted to destroy the U.S. But I hear you speaking about college and this and that, the other thing. And definitely before the election, some shit's going to go down in the United States.
Here's the thing. They always, like, whenever they do a false flag, they always tell us what they're doing. Like, before Sandy, there was the exact same thing happening at Sandy. During the Boston Marathon, they did a drill of the exact same thing. On the morning of 9/11, they had 12 drills going on of simulating airplanes hitting, right? And what they do is AI looks at all the communications of the world and they go, nobody's noticing, take it live. But if we do notice, they go, just make it a drill. Okay. And then it doesn't happen. So it's really hard for us to ever prove that we were right. I think people like Ole Damagard and many people, and including us, have stopped things from happening because we've identified them before they happen. So if we don't put that negative energy out there, right, we literally can stop stuff from happening. They need our energetic permission. And the other thing about, China's going to attack us and Russia's going to attack us, even the heads of the government, they might think that they're at war with each other, but their puppet masters are all working together. It's all one big show. It's all one big show. Now, there might be some little rogue states and stuff like Libya, right? Muammar Gaddafi, greatest leader of all time, right? Don't believe me? Go to my channel, go on the app, search the Great Man-Made River. Watch my video.
Yeah,
you'll cry.
Totally. Yeah.
You'll cry, right? Yeah. So they're literally, all war is fake. I mean, yes, people die. Real war. They convince order followers to kill other order followers. And they think they're doing that. And then everyone else goes, oh my God, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being duped. Thank you for stepping up and being brave and being duped into a fake war.
And I noticed that when I was there, man. Holy cow. They were trying to brainwash me to do the most evil things. And when I questioned them on it, look, I'll give you an example. They wanted to test me. They wanted me to kill my mother. when I went on one of my leaves. And I said, well, why would I do that? What did she do? They also wanted me to kill my roommate, Thomas Vallow, which I said I thought we were supposed to each help each other, you know, but they try to get the most psychopathic people to prove themselves, and then they elevate them. And that's what we've got right now. We've got a bunch of psychopathic order followers, which I call toxic leadership, running this show. And it's so dangerous right now. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But all I could tell you is, from what I'm seeing, these Russians, they don't want war.
They don't.
Chinese, I was living there, they didn't want war. Again, I'm living proof, man. These people have been so good to me. You know, like I said, I was living inside China. I was living in Guangzhou. I was living in Shenzhen. I was living in Nansha. I was surrounded by advisors to Xi Jinping, and they were all super nice to me, man. You know?
So the people are the bottom of the totem pole, right? They're all being controlled by their government. The ones that allow them, flat earthers, we're not being controlled. We've literally unplugging. So then you have the government, and they're controlling people, but some of them even have a conscience. Some of them are starting to think, and they're like, you know what? This isn't like Putin. He's starting to think, but he was put in place by the real controllers, and they're all working together. They're at the top of the pyramid, right? They're all working together. They're the unseen, you know, evil, all-seeing eye. And so for people to think there's no hope, then there is no hope if everyone thinks that. I think there's plenty of hope. I think the world is going to split into two factions. All the people that buy the nonsense end up in the 15-minute cities, completely controlled and jabbed, and those that live outside. It'll kind of be like Logan's Run, you know? You got the people that live there, and then the people that are flourishing in the outer world. Okay?
I'm telling you, I'm living proof, man. I love your app, but I can live without it. I've been living without a cell phone for almost 3 years now.
That's
and you
good.
know what? I'm fine. I mean, it's like, if I want to meet somebody, I just walk outside and I say hello.
There you go.
Wave, a handshake and a smile goes a long way.
In this world, you know, where they're controlling us, and they control us with their electronics, but we use it against them. We're using it right now. We're having this great conversation. We're going to upload it onto their servers, and we're going to reach people and unlock minds. Okay? Screw them.
Yeah.
Screw them.
God bless you, brother. You are a real maverick. I appreciate everything that you're doing. How long have you been doing this, real quick? Just one last question.
The Flat Earth since 2014, and then half a dozen years before that, you know, doing other truth and podcasts. But now, you know, this is my full-time job. And when I say full-time, 7 days a week, there's no time. Like if I don't have anything on my schedule, I'm like, wow, I can get more work done, right? I can get more work done. So, you know, I was in Austin. I did The Way Forward with Alex Zek. That's a huge podcast. It's going to be amazing. We went 3.5 hours, his longest podcast ever. I did Luke's Story, another amazing big podcast. We went over 2 hours, 2:20, I think, his longest podcast ever. I did Roseanne Barr. We went 1.5 hours. Again, well over her hour that she segmented, and she's having me back. And I did Alex Jones, and he cut us down from 1.5 hours to 1 hour. But, you know, that's just Alex Jones. But we reached a massive audience. So, you know, anybody listening, anybody that knows the podcast that I should be on, go to my website, flatearthDave.com, and send me a message like, hey, these people, here's the contact information, here's the link, or I've introduced you. If you know somebody that would like to have this conversation, especially if they think Flat Earth is stupid, okay? I love talking to those people because I thought Flat Earth was stupid until I was shown.
All right, everybody. Remember, united we stand, divided we fall. Never give up. Never surrender. Keep shining. Live, love, flow.
Beautiful. Thank you.